Hello internet friends, welcome back to Toy Art. This week we are talking all about MacReady from The Thing by Neca. Just one of my favorite figures of 2021. This is an awesome figure, and we're going to get on into it. Real quick here, one of the things I wanted to say off first is like in October I'm going to be doing all like spooky, like Halloween themed stuff because that's who I am. But with this one, it's like, man, The Thing is really like the quintessential horror movie for me. It has one of the best endings in a film of all time. I'm going to go on a little bit about that too. If you haven't seen it, come on, man, get with it. Check it out. It's one of the great classic horror movies now, which is weird to say, but like it's really good. So without further ado, here's a little picture of what we got coming up, and then we're going to jump into a real deep dive because there's so much texture on this figure and so many cool things to talk about. I think Neca really outdid themselves. So let's get into this. MacReady looks phenomenal. I honestly was gonna I was hoping I could like get a second one and customize him into a G.I. Joe classified like old school General Hawk, but he's a little too tall. So that's fine. Honestly, this little deluxe figure comes with so much cool stuff. So let's just focus on that and talk about like what kind of cool like sculpting details, what like neat stuff that Neca's done with like the actual sculpting and tooling of this figure to really stand out, right? So talk about the accessories right quick here. So we've got like, he's got two heads, old MacReady here, two cornholio heads as I call them. He's got the bottle and the shot glass for some whiskey. He's got one more gloved hand, three regular hands, like exposed hands, his hat, some science glasses because he's technically a scientist, and some sweet sunglasses. So along with that, of course, you can see he's holding his lantern and he's in the shotgun. That's the pose that I've had him in since I picked him up like a week or two ago. So just talk about these real quick. Textures on this hat here. Comes with a nice cloth ribbon for that hat. I'm trying to get it in focus. Sorry, guys. So the texturing on this hat, man, like I'm not sure like what kind of plastic they made it from, but it looks like a beat up old leathery hat. It is like very uneven on all sides as far as just like it looks worn. And I dig that. Like the ribbon here matches the brim of the hat inside there. So there's a lot of like nice little details inside of this. It's a hell of a hat, honestly. I know it's kind of one of those small things, but as someone who grew up in Texas, you get to appreciate in your hats and how people treat them. This one looks like it's definitely seen a couple years on the road here. Easily fits right on his hat. The little string here is not a thin string. It's like a full-on like thick ribbon. So they really went all out with that, which is hella nice. It's a nice hat. It fits on both heads pretty well, but I would say like it fits way better on his scarved head than it does on his like full bushy Kurt Russell hair, right? The big flowing mane. So let's get some heads here real quick. So one head here, he's got his grimacy face, like what the hell is that? He's like, I'm gonna shoot it. Again, I joked that it was cornholio, but the texturing is really what I want to point out in here. Again, like Neca just makes these great figures that they have like, you know, this looks like an actual scarf as I drop it. Good job. So it looks like actual clothing, and the texturing really speaks to that. The beard sculpting is phenomenal too. You know, like the likeness isn't like 900% right on Kurt Russell. God, I can't just not drop this. But like, you know, it captures that energy and essence of Kurt Russell as that character. So I think it's damn well good enough for me. You can kind of see over here that like it does have some like reflective properties on that scarf. So again, like the painting app and the texturing really went far and beyond. Ball socket for the head and the side there, so they're easy to pop on and off. Like with most every other action figure, like any NECA thing that I get, I always give it a good soak if I'm going to take any things moving the arms, that kind of stuff, because sometimes these figures limbs do break, so you just want to give it like a nice soak. So the next head up here, again, great texturing. There is a seam down the side here, just to show that, you know, that's how actual like clothes are made. But this, like, it looks like the drawstring closed over here. He's a little more apprehensive in this one, like a little more fear in the eyes. Again, just a great sculpt on that head, and it actually looks like it's like really drawn over the head just to keep his head warm. And you can see again there is some great texturing on here, just to kind of give it that like cloth feel and look. Pulled back on the back, has seams on it. Just a wonderful piece of sculpture work here. And that's really going to be a theme that repeats to this whole thing. I won't go too far into the depths here with this, but I do love the fact that like they really went far to like repro this label on this bottle here. You can't really get the greatest view of it because it's tiny. But it is a great feature, and it kind of like, you know, it's nice to have these figures that are like set aside from, you know, kids figures, as so to speak. You know, Target is like stocking these in the they have like this weird little collector's end cap. Like it was originally like, hey, this is for collectors, and then like there wasn't anything to put on there because distribution's been so terrible. But this is one of the few figures that has been sitting on that shelf, along with a couple of the recent King Kong. So I really think it's cool that, like, yeah, you know, I don't have to go to a comic shop to find, like, figures that are geared towards adults. Like DC, I think right now is, like, has this whole thing where it's like, we can't show, like, previews of our figures with guns. I'm like, you have the character of the Joker, and he's a murderer. So total sidebar, but the fact that I can get like a figure that is like an adult geared figure for an adult horror movie is a great thing out here. So that excites me. So I would say, like, you know, as well, like the stuff with like his shades and his scientist goggles, they both fit on pretty well. I would say, like, if you're going to put the scientist goggles on, like these little guys here, put them on one of the heads that has the wrap over it, because like I said, that hair is not conducive. This totally is very easy to put on, as I totally drop it off there. It's weird because I'm like I'm trying to do it through the through the camera lens. Sorry. It's like, this is such a weird thing, right? But like, hey, he looks great with them on. He's like, oh shit, man, like I got my sweet goggles on. Check me out, sweet goggles. You can see his confused face through there. They're amazing. And it's the same. I'll spare you guys the goofiness of the sunglasses real quick. The sunglasses like really like don't fit on these guys' heads at all. They do fit on the big bushy Kurt Russell hair figures, so take that with a grain of salt. One last thing, like the glove sculpt is pretty fantastic. This looks like a winter glove. I do live in a place called Colorado that has lots of winter. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like one of those 80s puffy gloves, but it acts like I watched the movie before this just to look for like accuracy, hints and tones. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like, you know, more of a closed fist kind of thing. Or if you want to have that, like, have him holding that lantern a little more secure, this alternate gloved hand is great. His other hands have quite a bit, like, compared to like something like a Marvel Legends, or even a DC Universe McFarlane thing. It's hard to see, but he does have there's a lot more sculpting, a lot more vein work in those hands. I couldn't tell you if they are taken from like Kurt Russell's actually hands. That'd be a weird thing to know, but like that's something I would ask if I was interviewing something about this. But if you look at my skin tones and my skin, like there's lots of little wrinkles. And it's the same thing with this hand. Like they have like really gone an extra long way to put like some texture and some veins and some bone work inside these hands. And like, the cool thing with NECA is like they're really known for their horror figures. And I mean, this is definitely a horror figure. I'm not a big horror fan, but this is a horror figure, and the thing is just one of the greatest horror movies ever made by by far. So to have like that little extra detail, I feel like that's like something that's reminiscent from NECA for like their horror lines, and they've really brought it in for a human figure, which is kick-ass. So I've been blabbing on for about 10 minutes. Let's talk about our dude here, right? So shotgun, he doesn't hold it that well, so I've had him, as I drop it, I've had him holding it just like right below the stock here. It's a badass shotgun, I'll be honest with you. It is very accurate. And something that would go really well with some of those G.I. Joe classified figures out there. Like putting it with Major Blood. It's a pretty perfect matchup there. Like he could easily hold this and it would look pretty right on. So for you Joe Bros out there and you want to get one of these guys, comes with a great shotgun if you're not going to use a shotgun for your thing figure here, your MacReady. I will say the lantern handle comes off pretty easily, but it is very easy, as I said, to reattach. There's pinholes like right in here and just like pop it in there. It's a hell of a, like, all these are prop accurate, which is really nice. Like, that's one thing I love about NECA is that they like went in and they look, they watch the movie and they really get into it. And they're going to focus in on those accessories and what really makes sense to that character here. So, now that we've BS'd about that, Mr. MacReady himself, I'll stand up there. He stands up so easily. That's one thing with some NECA figures, too, that, like, they just kind of flop over. Like, they've really gone a long way with these. And there's honestly not a lot of, like, pins or anything sticking out. Like, everything is very, like, hidden inside. These joints are all hidden inside. Coming close here. And you can see like all that leather detailing on here. Like whoever, like their sculptors go from, what's kind of cool is like NECA sculptors go from like cartoony to realistic at the drop of a hat. He is like definitely geared up like in his winter outfit, and you can see like when you pop his head off, that blue collar come for the scarf comes up and hoodie comes up really easily. But like I said, I really wanted to customize this into an old school General Hawk because he's just like, it's the same outfit practically. I hope they, get a little Snake Plissken because I'd love to have a Escape from New York snake to go along with MacReady here. That one thing to think about too is like, man, that beautiful flowing hair. Look at the sculpting on that hair. I mean, that is like, Kurt Russell is just known for having this magnificent coif of man hair, right? And they really just nailed it. I mean, all that, like, there's not a piece or a place on this hair that loses any kind of detail. I know I'm kind of moving around all wonky here, but like, I love how the light falls on there and how it creates these shadows. And also the application of paint on there. There's all these different tones of paint as it looks on there and different highlights. Oops, there it goes, down again. Awesome. You guys are gonna roast me in the comments, I'm sure. It's the same with his beard, right? Like, he looks phenomenal. His nose is a little turned up. Like I said, like when I look at him like in this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, he actually looks pretty close to this, honestly. Like, and so like I said, I don't have any problems with the likeness. I think it's probably one of the better ones they've done next to the like Back to the Future 2, Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown. So, like I said, this leather is pretty fantastic. You move them back and forth. You can tell there's skin tone underneath there. It's hard to see there. So, like his hoodie scarf doesn't extend all the way down, but you never take this off. It's soft plastic. So I was like, there probably is a way to take it off, but I'm not screwing around with that. Again, no pins are showing. You see like the joint, the smoothness of that joint right there. But when you move them around, so they get like nice two hands here. So when you move them around, like it really disappears. And they kind of like always like with this, like kind of have this weird like it's almost like a spoon or a scoop over. But like honestly, why complain about these things? It looks so phenomenal when it's like fully extended or even just like this. Like for a hard plastic toy, I was like, dude, this looks phenomenal. The gloves, the texture on the gloves is different from like the leather. I just love that everything has its own different place. There you can see like a little bit of that belly showing out there. But even pulling them up there, like I said, they've made these, like NECA's really like improved their figures. I know a lot of people have bitched about them over the years, and really complained, but at the same time, I was like, they listen, but it takes time to make improvements. And I think a lot of folks in our toy community have zero patience. They are just out there for negative comments that gets likes and views, and so I'm like, look, you guys, I'm not here for any of that. I was like, they've made, from the Ninja Turtles were mostly what I used to get for NECA, and still do. But even before then, I had some of the Gears of War figures, and I was like, comparatively, this is such a huge improvement. Not only just quality of sculpt wise, but also the fact that, like, yeah, even though I did soak him, a lot of him, even compared to last summer's Ninja Turtles arcade figures, I had to soak those. With these, not. I really didn't feel like I had to at all. So that being said, moving down to the legs, like everything is hidden in these legs here, so you can see that, like, oh, okay, there's no pins. Again, not the biggest thing in the world, but like also there's some cool articulation going on here that's a little different. So it's like, yeah, you can make them do like a little dance. But what I will have you pay more attention to is, again, like the texture on this matches like almost the same texture as these little heads, right? There's a little bit of like that grit to it. And I just love, like, I can't tell you how much, like, how great these folds look. These look like pants that have been lived in for a while, right? And that they're actually like pulled up and drawn. Like, there's this, whatever is in his pocket there, I don't remember exactly what it is, but like, it's there. It looks good. It's like a thing of tobacco, right? When it's in someone's back pocket, you can tell it's there. Like, the fabric falls so correctly on here, and what a wonderful piece. I love all the detailing, like down to like the zipper right over here, the zip string down over here for this pocket. This is like a dad's dream, having this many pockets with zippers and pants. Here's a nice little butt shot here for you. Yeah, so like I said, there's only a few places where like these joints look like they exist, and dude, he looks freaking awesome. Such a great amount of detail put into these military style pants. And they're mostly like, I guess they'd be like science pants, but whatever. Then coming down to these boots, one thing I do like about these, like I said, I didn't have to soak this guy at all. His joints are much easier to move, and there's no breaking. He's not coming loose. He's not falling over. These boots, again, kind of carry some of that same gritty texture, but just a little bit different. They definitely match the jacket in the same, like, somewhat leather texture of these boots. I'm always impressed with people that can draw or can like portray like laced boots, because it is not easy, and I'm working on it myself. But you just see like even like these little seams that come down here on his boots. Like, everything looks like so accurate to what that movie is, and they really didn't have to like go in through that. Like, like I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like, art's subjective, and you can detail figures or people in a more cartoony method, or I guess cartoony is not the word I'm really looking for, because there's like, that's unfortunately so much negative connotation these days, even towards my style. But it's all different representation, right? But you can do a very realistic style. I feel like this has gone in a very much wonderfully realistic style, and I really appreciate all the hard work that went into this figure. Some of the things are like $29, and I get all of this stuff and a wonderful figure who just feels solid and ready to rock and roll. This is awesome. He looks great. And I think one of the things that really kind of geeked me out too, just to like end this real quick, is like, if you look at him, like the only like toned paint application that I can see on him really comes in on like the jacket and the hair. Somewhat on the boots. There's a little bit of wear on those boots, right? But like those pants, they're just one tone except for the zipper. And those little dots of silver here and there really make a figure. And like this is definitely like a less is more kind of treatment on through there. I'll see if I can like get a good zoom in for it here. So yeah, like I said, you can see like the little dots there for the jacket, little zippers. They all have those different little striations of value, but only on the pants is there not really a whole lot of paint application. They let the folds do the job, which I think is really cool. And honestly, that's what strikes me about this figure is like it's still super detailed, wonderfully articulated, but they went for a less is more with a lot of it. They weren't afraid to let one color just speak. And honestly, kudos to Neca for that. So I'm going to zoom us back out. You can see him a little bit more. So that is really all I had to say about the art of this figure. Like if you haven't, man, get your tail out there and go find him while he's still available. MacReady, like the thing, I've already spoke to you guys about how much I love this film, but like this figure itself, by far one of the greatest things ever. And I hope there's more figures to come out of this, because I'd love to have him and Keith David staring at each other like they did at the end of that film. One of the greatest things I've ever seen committed to celluloid, right? So that is what I have. I'll meet you back at the end of the video, and as always, take care. Just a wonderful figure. There is an ultimate MacReady coming out that I will definitely be getting because he comes with the sweet flamethrower from the film, and that, oh boy, I was not planning on like buying two of these figures at all. In fact, when I saw the announcement, I was like, but I was like, the flamethrower, all those cool like plastic pieces, just do the deal for me. I love NECA's Ultimate Figures line. They have just been knocking it out. We're going to talk a lot about turtles down the line too as well, because I love those Ninja Turtles. But you can see over here, as I put up these images, they just, man, he pops. He looks amazing. He was a real treat to photograph. I will have a ton of more up on my Instagram, so check that out, Toy Art Show. As always, I'll be putting these up on like some fun videos on my TikTok, Toy Art Show there again as well too. So there's plenty of places to also get some back behind the scenes, some more like photographs if you don't want to just see them like in these little small parts right over here. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I know this one was a little longer, but I really was into it. Like, comment, subscribe, but really share this with folks. Get it out there on the internet. I want more engagement. I want all of us talking really cool stuff about action figures, toys, all that kind of cool stuff. My next one's going to be a retro figure, actually. So like I'm going to do 3 like modern, 1 retro a month. So try to keep that balance. So if you're a fan of some residents of the SDF1, come back next week. We'll be talking about that. Thank you so much for your time, folks, and I'll see you next time. All right, so if you dug that, over here we're gonna have the playlist. Over here is where I have a little recommended video. I just got my huge HasLab Sentinel, did an unboxing. We're definitely doing a toy art about that Batman mammajamma in full, but this thing when I got it the other day, I was like, oh, so cool. So take a look at those, subscribe to the channel, again, share it out. Thank you.